please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Yes, the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is in town, and we'll be getting you highlights from the town hall in just a bit. But the top story that we are tracking this evening, we broke the news on Friday evening, and now the confirmation has come from the horse's mouth. TV Narendran, the managing director and CEO of Tata Steel, has confirmed to CNBC TV18 that the steel major has indeed bid for Bhushan Steel, the biggest bankruptcy so far to go under the hammer. Narendran spoke exclusively with CNBC TV18. He, however, refused to comment on what the exact bid amount will be. Remember, we told you Friday that Tata Steel has pipped JSW Group to emerge as the highest bidder for the cash-strapped company Bhushan Steel. In fact, Bhushan Steel stock soared nearly 20% in trade today after they informed the exchanges that Tata Steel, JSW Steel and a consortium of the company's employees have indeed submitted bids to take over its assets. We also caught up with Sajjan Jindal of the JSW Group. He said that while they could not match Tata's bid for Bhushan Steel, they will, however, continue to look for more stressed steel assets. Not just that, Neeraj Singhal, the managing director of Bhushan Steel, was also on our channel and speaking with us. He explained the rationale behind the employees' bid. Take a look.
What made Tata Steel offer more than earlier? It is quite 40% above the first bid that you had put in for Bhushan Steel.
I don't think there's any first bid and later bid. I think the media talked of multiple numbers. So I don't want to comment on the specific numbers, but you know, we'll wait to hear from the IRP and then we will comment. But yes, these assets we have been interested right from the beginning because they're in the eastern region, and we believe that there's a lot of synergy we can get out of these assets. And
will the payment be upfront or staggered in how many years?
I won't comment on that. We've submitted our bid. There are many details in the bid. I wouldn't like to comment on that till we have a formal discussion with the IRP.
By when do you expect formalization?
I don't know. I think we were told that we may hear something this week, so we'll wait for that.
Sir, and if we talk about, you know, your bidding for the stressed assets, what is it right now that you're looking forward to?
Well, there are lots of assets in steel and power and infrastructure. So these are whatever comes in falls in our area.
Sir, but Tatas have outbid you both on power and Bhushan assets.
In steel, yeah. Bhushan Steel and Bhushan Power, yeah.
So do you think you were not aggressive enough there?
No, we were quite aggressive, but they were much more aggressive than us.
Would you be just happy to be with Monnet assets right now?
We will have to be satisfied with that.
So what would be your next stage of expansions be, sir?
We'll see that. I mean, I can't, right now I don't know, but next phase we will see.
The employees have a lot of sentimental value for the company, and since they built it and it's, so they put in a bid, and I think it could be a good bid. And it could be, they've offered a lot of equity to the banks, which I think it's a good move. Seeing the upturn in the steel industry, which is going to happen, and it is happening, and in the last 6 to 8 months, about 10,000 rupees has the prices in steel industry has gone up. And going forward, even globally, since China is cutting their production because of various reasons, environmental and so on, the steel industry will, I feel, will do well now. And so the bank should have the benefit of the upturn also now.
Well, there you have it. All the three key stakeholders in that story: Tata Steel, JSW Steel and Bhushan Steel, of course, right here on the channel. We delve deeper into that on India Business Hour. But let's get you the latest on the mega 11,000 crore rupee fraud at the Punjab National Bank. That has clearly rattled the banking sector, raising eyebrows about the fraud prevention network followed by Indian banks. These are the key developments on that front that you should know. CBI today sealed Punjab National Bank's Brady House branch in Mumbai, the branch where, remember, fake letters of undertaking were allegedly issued by former PNB executives to benefit Nirav Modi and companies that are related to him. The special CBI court in Mumbai has already remanded 3 accused in the PNB fraud case to police custody till the 3rd of March. Now, Enforcement Directorate Chief Colonel Singh is taking over the probe in this matter. All this even as the Central Vigilance Commission, or the CVC, has swung into action. CVC today issued an advisory to all public sector banks directing them to transfer officers who have completed 3 years and clerical staff who have completed 5 years of service at a given bank branch as on 31st December 2017. The Enforcement Directorate has continues to tighten the noose on Nirav Modi and Mehul Choksi. We learned from sources now that around 39 properties were raided today, and assets worth over 5,000 crore rupees have been seized so far. The government, on the other hand, has raised eyebrows over RBI's fraud prevention network. It has written to central bank asking why the PNB fraud went undetected. We learned that the centre has written to Reserve Bank of India asking if lapses at PNB were noticed on the 5 counts. And for more on that story, let's go across to our 2 colleagues, Timsi Jaipuri and Sapna Das, who are joining us live on the latest. Timsi, let me come to you first. We learned that 39 raids were conducted earlier today across the country, and you were reporting assets worth 5,700 crore rupees have been seized so far. The Revenue Department has come across several transactions worth a few hundred crore rupees, each of unexplained cash sent. Timsi, what is the nature of these transactions? Help us understand, and how have they been routed from the country in the first place?
Well, as you rightly pointed out, the Enforcement Directorate is continuing its action. About 39 properties were raided today itself, and close to about 5,700 odd crore rupees worth assets have been seized so far. Now, let me run across through certain important details that the Revenue Department has identified so far. The Revenue Department has detected that there were unexplained cash transactions which were where Nirav Modi had sent cash worth rupees 556 crore rupees outside India. Now this remains unexplained, and this was not reported either. Also, the tax department has approached the tax authorities in Bahamas, in Singapore, in Cyprus, in Jersey, because the income tax department, the revenue department and the other investigative agencies have pointed out towards various companies that belong to Nirav Modi and aides, who have been conducting a lot of transactions, be it terms of transfer of shares, be it in terms of receiving cash or sending cash, which are situated, which are located in these tax havens, and they remain unexplained. So the government of India has sought details from these tax authorities abroad to come back within a stipulated time and share what were the nature of these transactions, which are the bank accounts through which he was dealing, and how much amount was transferred and when. Now, apart from this, Nirav Revenue Department has also detected that Nirav Modi's company Firestar International received 271 crores from Purvi Mehta, and Purvi Mehta is Nirav Modi's sister, and this was received from Purvi Mehta's company International. Not just this, a lot of share transfers were done by Nirav Modi across the country, and these were again unexplained and not reported. Firestar International also received 284 crores from Jade Brigade Limited from Cyprus and Forcom Worldwide of Mauritius. So again, the companies have been identified, but the nature of these transactions, when were they conducted, what was the route, how come he conducted this and remained unreported, is something that the tax authorities of Cyprus and Mauritius are yet to get back to the Indian government. Apart from this, a lot of cash sales were made by Nirav Modi. Remember, under the law, any cash sale beyond 2 lakh rupees needs a PAN. But Nirav Modi was conducting cash sales of jewelry to the tune of more than 2 lakh rupees, which were unreported. Remember, Revenue Department by now has, what we learned from sources is the fact that Revenue Department has till now detected about 100 crore rupees worth of cash sales through the database of PAN that it has, and over 250 crore worth cash sales are yet to be identified as to who are these people who were buying these jewelry from Nirav Modi in cash.
Absolutely.
So all in, as the probe unfolds, we'll keep you posted on this.
Absolutely, Timsi. Many thanks for bringing us the various nuances in the story. The plot thickens, the regulatory net has widened. Request you to hang in there. Let's get Sapna in also. As we were saying, government has now written to RBI. So Sapna, coming to you, give us an understanding. What are the 5 counts on which the government has sought a response from Reserve Bank, and by when can they expect the Reserve Bank to respond to that letter written by the government?
Probably the government is trying to find out whether the banking regulator has failed in its role in terms of detecting the PNB fraud. The communication entails questions raised to the RBI on 5 counts. Basically, they want to know, the government wants to know if there have been lapses in terms of the regulatory, supervisory, auditory issues, powers inspection of branches, including the overseas branches, and also cyber-security related issues. So the government wants to know from Reserve Bank of India whether whether they have noticed any lapses on these 5 accounts, and if yes, they should be reported to the government. Well, we have been given to understand that the Reserve Bank of India may come back to the government after it has done its due diligence with the banks involved. The government is also very clear about the fact that the regulatory and supervisory role rests squarely with the Reserve Bank of India. They are empowered under the Act. Probably all this is pointing towards the fact that the government is trying to, kind of raise a question mark whether RBI has failed or not. It remains to be seen how this really goes forward. But just a quick point, in every public sector bank, for example, there is an RBI nominee as well as a government nominee. So it remains to be seen how this really goes forward.
Well, one can't help but think the more one delves into the story, the more unanswered questions get thrown up. But Sapna, Timsi, many thanks for getting us the very latest on that murky scam. But we're not done with scams just yet, because there's a scam brewing not just at PNB, but the promoter of Rotomac Pens, Vikram Kothari, is also now under the scanner. He has now been charged by the CBI for defaulting on loans worth 800 crore rupees. While Kothari has been arrested, officials have raided 3 addresses belonging to him in Kanpur. That's not all. Enforcement Directorate has also registered a case against Kothari under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Sources telling us that the other directors of the company, Sandhna and Rahul Kothari, are also named as co-accused. Well, on to the market action now. A last hour rally saw markets trim losses, but it wasn't good enough to stop benchmark from indices from ending below the 100-day moving average. The Nifty opened lower and continued to fall as the session progressed, but saw short covering at 10,300 to end short of the 10,400 mark. The Sensex closed more than 200 points in the red. Meanwhile, the mid-caps also underperformed, ending with cuts of more than 1%. The Nifty Bank, meanwhile, managed to end above the 25,000 mark. For more on that, Anuj Singhal joins in with a wrap of today's trading action. Anuj, so give us a sense. What stood out for you?
Well, another weak day for the market, but it could have been far worse. There was last hour short covering and decent short covering actually. Reliance led that short covering move, but even some of the banks also joined in. But overall, the market continues to show some weakness, especially in the broader market. There is still some weakness. Now, the story of the day was, of course, Tata Steel being the top bidder for Bhushan Steel. So, pipping JSW Steel. So, Tata Steel was down 6%. JSW Steel was down 3% because the market thought that JSW Steel would get that asset and it would be a good fit. So, JSW did recover from the day's low point. And Bhushan Steel, of course, was locked on 20% upper circuit. In terms of other index losers, you had names like Larsen & Toubro, Sun Pharma, Mahindra & Mahindra, Ultratech, the oil marketing companies like BPCL and HPCL, which were down quite a bit. On the gaining side, the big boy Reliance was up, Axis helped the Bank Nifty, and Infosys was in the green. PSU banks continue to see selling, though some of them did come off the low point, but no such luck for PNB, Union, Syndicate, Allahabad Bank, Indian Bank, Bank of India, all of them seeing quite a bit of selling pressure. And finally, in the F&O space, there were some big movers like Fortis and Apollo Hospitals on the way up, and PC Jeweler on the way down. All in all, the big hope that the market would now have is that we made a sort of a double bottom around the 10,350, 10,300 mark, but we'll find out. The expiry week is still going, and the momentum is with the bears.
Well, let's see how the markets react in trade tomorrow, Anuj. Thanks for that. Time for us to slip into a break, but up next, the big exclusive here on CNBC TV18.
Canada knows and Canadians know that trade is conducive to growth. So we're always excited to talk about trade opportunities.
Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says his nation is certainly interested in pursuing trade talks with India. A slice of that big interview when we return. Welcome back. IT industry body NASSCOM has kick-started its annual 3-day India Leadership Forum in Hyderabad today. It also simultaneously is hosting the World Congress of Information Technology for the first time in India. CNBC TV18 spoke with a whole host of tech giants. Let's start with Rishad Premji, the Chief Strategy Officer of Wipro. He told us that he is seeing a revival in economies across the globe. We also spoke to Shantanu Narayan of Adobe. He says that he is keen on tech companies that remain focused on innovation. Not just that, we also spoke with Dave Cote, the executive chairman of Honeywell. He said that the government needed to carry out more reforms to boost India's growth. He reiterated that it's time India said bye-bye to protectionism.
This year look is very much in line with what we had guided last year. We had guided 7 to 8%, and so it should be broadly in line along those lines. And you know, the economy in the world are picking up. I mean, you've never seen the world more positive now at this point in time than it ever has been. You look at the US, you look at Europe, you look at even Japan. And so I'm quite optimistic about what that bodes in terms of spend on technology as we move into next year.
We would love to find technology companies that are innovating. I think as the evolution of the industry in India continues, services is still where there's a tremendous opportunity in terms of talent, but the product innovation in a fundamental way in the areas that are critical for us, namely digital media and digital marketing, there are none, unfortunately, that are on my radar.
There's a significant amount of change that still needs to occur in the country. The bureaucracy is just stifling, absolutely stifling. Retail needs to be expanded and made more competitive. Protectionism needs to disappear. Education and broadband, like we just talked about. All these things still need to happen. And I'm hopeful that people will support PM Modi's government and make these changes continue to happen over the next 10, 15, 20 years so that economic progress continues.
Let's take you also give you a quick idea of what transpired in court today, where trouble continues for the Singh brothers of Fortis Healthcare after Supreme Court rejected their challenge to the 3,500 arbitral award. The Delhi High Court has directed the Singh brothers to maintain status quo with respect to their assets. The Delhi High Court was hearing Daiichi's plea seeking execution of the 3,500 crore arbitral award. Delhi High Court has restrained the brothers from selling or creating third-party rights over their assets and shareholding. The Delhi High Court has also directed the Singh brothers to submit a payment plan for the 3,500 crore award. Singh brothers have also challenged the award in Singapore. The Delhi High Court will be hearing the case next on the 26th of this month. As I told you, Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is in town, and he says that his nation is certainly interested in pursuing trade talks with India and talks of the potential for exponential growth in Indo-Canadian trade. In his conversation with Shireen Bhan at a town hall with IIM Ahmedabad students, Trudeau spoke about feminism, protectionism, immigration and NAFTA, a whole host of subjects. Here's a slice of that conversation.
Is the fact that there is no bilateral protection agreement in place holding back economic ties? Do you believe that post this visit we could see more momentum on the FTA deliberations that have been underway? Give me a sense of what we should realistically expect on the economic front.
We are certainly very interested in pursuing trade negotiations with a broad range of countries, including India. I mean, Canada has successfully, over the past years, at a time where trade deals have fallen out of favor and anti-globalization movements and worries about trade are rampant around the world, we successfully concluded a free trade deal with Europe, which is a market of 500 million people. We still have and will continue to have NAFTA, which is a trade deal with U.S. and Mexico. We just signed on to the CPTPP, which captures some of the largest and fastest growing economies in Asia, not the largest, but some of the fastest growing. And we're always looking for more. We've got trade deals with South America. Canada knows and Canadians know that trade is conducive to growth. So we're always excited to talk about trade opportunities, and we're respectful of the pace and the concerns that our partners will have. We'll never force a trade deal, but we're always eager to talk about deepening our opportunities. Right now, Canada-India trade is about $8 billion a year, which is great in goods, another $2 billion in services. But we do $2 billion worth of trade every single day with the United States. So there's a lot of room to grow, even given distances as a challenge. And when you think of the natural connections between Canada and India, obviously there's lots of really good business ties, trade and agricultural products. Canada creates produces a tremendous number of pulses, for example, which is a discussion we're busy having with the Indian government right now, where there's slight challenges. But there's so much more to do, and for us, the greatest potential of trade is the people-to-people connections. We have 125,000 Indian students in our universities every single year. We want to do much more. India is the #1 source of foreign students number 2 source of foreign students in Canada, but definitely on track to being #1, perhaps even later this year if the trend line continues. Gujarat itself is is a significant proportion of that. I think the top 3, maybe the top 2 destination within India, source within India. So there are lots of great people-to-people ties.
Well, Justin Trudeau there giving a big thumbs up to free trade and saying India and Canada could well sign a free trade agreement soon, and that at least that is something that he hopes for. We'll get you more from that exclusive conversation on India Business Hour, but for now, we got to wrap up this edition of What's Hot. Many thanks for watching. The Dalal Street saw a late recovery today, but the weakness still persists as Sensex and the Nifty end close to 0.75% in the red. More on today's trading action only on Markets Today Talkback. That will take all the action forward. Goodbye.